Hello and welcome to another episode of Mole Thoughts. My name is ChaosMole and today we are talking about Shadow Warriors 3. We just wrote the credits on the game and man, there is a lot to talk about. What you were seeing here is the opening 5 to 10 minutes of the game, so there's not really any spoilers. This is the tutorial areas. And well, the game starts effective immediately where well, not immediately, but pretty close to where the second game ended. So you should definitely play the first game and the second game because all the stories are directly intertwined and linked. You will also meet a lot of characters from the previous games, and to understand what your relationship is with them, you should probably know what happened. So yes, I highly recommend to play the other games, but I also recommend it because then you realize very quickly what this game is. Shadow Warrior 3 is a problematic game, in my opinion. And I'm not even talking about the voice actor decisions. I don't really care who is doing the voice acting. Yes, I always liked the old voice actor, but I don't just like the performance of the new one. And it becomes really apparent when you are meeting another character from the previous Shadow Warrior games, and that one has the old voice from the previous games. I will not tell you who it is because spoilers and stuff, but you effectively immediately realizes, wait a second, this just feels like the old voice. Like they actually know what they want to put into their character. They know they want to make it feels like, and all in all, it's just the new voice actor just doesn't have the experience with Wang giggity than like some of the previous characters have with their returning character, right? And you feel that so often in the one-liners and in the jokes he's trying to crack. He's just not putting in the same feeling as the old voice actor. Like the old Wang was a very cynical bastard, right? Who like does a lot of stress talking, but he was always very cynical about it, and that is completely missing in the new voice. And again, I don't really want to go into the reasons why they now choose a new voice actor and all that. I can just say that the choice they made in the end was bad. Like that's the only thing which counts for me, and it's unfortunately bad. But let's talk a little bit about the good things here. First things first, the graphics are really good. I know you don't really see that in the video because it's not the greatest bitrate, but seriously, the world looks fantastic. The monsters look great, different. They feel different. It's just so cool, and I would have loved to see a little bit more variety in the world. They are trying it here and there, but it's mostly old temples in an Asia style. And don't get me wrong, it's absolutely beautiful, and I love to explore them. I like to fight in those arenas and also use the surroundings to fight back the enemy. Like, they're doing a really good job on that, but I would have wished a little bit more variety. Speaking of variety, the game is pretty short. And I really have to point that out. The game is really, really short. I think we have finished the game in about 5 hours. Yep, about 5 hours. And there's not really a lot of reasons to come back. Actually, none, really. Like you don't really want to replay the game. Yeah, you could replay it on a higher difficulty and all that, but nothing changes. It's the same thing, and the gameplay sometimes felt kind of repetitive to me because the problem is you were getting your weapons super early on in the game. About after 2 hours, you have all the weapons in the game, and you met 95% of the enemies, and it's just they it kind of feels repetitive at this point. What I also noticed very quickly is that when you are running through the arenas and you were shooting at enemies, you're just cycling through the weapons. Like in games like Doom, for an example, and we really have to talk about the Doom comparison here. In a game like Doom, you are trying to find a weapon which is good against a certain enemy type, right? And there's a lot of variety there, and the fights feel relatively short. There's a lot of adrenaline going on, and that doesn't really happen in Shadow Warrior 3. Like, Shadow Warrior 3 really tries to be Doom. It tries that so hard, and it goes even so far that a lot of the enemies in Shadow Warrior 3, they look and feel like Doom enemies. Like, it starts with the little zombies, which are just cannon fodder, and which are sometimes there to annoy you or to supply you with, like, health or ammunition, right? Then you have, like, those flying eyeballs. I always forget their names. Sorry, I'm super bad with remembering names in life. Like Cacodemon. Is that it? Cacodemon? Right? Like, you have something similar in this game. Then you have those big, burly, melee demons you never want to get too close because they shred you to pieces. And yeah, a lot of stuff feels like I have seen a very similar design in the Doom games. And it's where the other Shadow Warrior games were never necessarily perfect, they try to be different, right? They wanted to set themselves apart. Especially Shadow Warrior 2 was a very different game. It was closer to a looter shooter, but it was still very different in what it did in comparison to, let's say, Borderlands. Like, I never thought, man, let's play like Borderlands. I never had that thought in Shadow Warrior 2. In this game, I was constantly thinking, man, I think I'm playing Doom and Doom Eternal here right now. Speaking of Doom Eternal, one of the things they also put into their games, and I don't like that, and you can see it right here, is those jumping moments. I don't want to call them jumping puzzles because they're clearly not it, but those jumping moments, they would have been fun if they worked most of the time. Oh yeah, also one of the things they have from Doom, you see right here, is the finisher. And then, well, you're getting the weapon, which is kind of different from the Doom games. And the weapons are really cool you can get, but you figure out very quickly, like, which weapon is kind of OP in comparison to the others, and you're just starting to take that weapon most of the time. But back to the original point of the jumping moments in the game. They're kind of bugged. Well, not bugged, but the window of where you can jump on a wall and the area you can walk alongside the wall is very small. And even if you are just one pixel off, you're dead. Or sometimes height seems to be very important. Like, there's one moment a little bit later in the game where you have to surf around on a platform, right? And then there are a lot of obstacles and you have to jump over the obstacles. And I was jumping over an obstacle and I was landing on the platform, in the middle of the platform. The game didn't recognize that, and I was dead. I was just dead. I had to do it again. I was like, what just happened here? I nailed this in the middle of the platform, and I did it again, and then everything was well. It's like, wait, what happened? And this happens more often than not in the game, which is unfortunate. But all in all, like, the gameplay, the voice acting, even like boss fights. I think there are 2 boss fights in the game, which were really cool. I enjoyed the boss fights. But the same goes with the upgrade. You can now upgrade, like, you can upgrade your character and you can upgrade your weapon, but it doesn't really matter. I have only updated my weapons here and there. I've upgraded my character here and there. I could have farmed far more upgrade points, but to be honest, didn't matter. Didn't make such a big difference. It was nice to have, but nothing really important, which was also really a shame. Like, I think you can already hear it in my voice and maybe even my gestures. I didn't had the best time with Shadow Warrior 3, which is unfortunate because I really liked Shadow Warrior 1 and 2 for their uniqueness, trying to be different, for their relatively dark humor. I liked still the humor, but they switched over to a lot of like movie and meme references. And it's just like, especially the meme references is like, I like their own jokes better. They did in the previous games. Oh yeah, also what you have just seen, the lagging, which is happening because they're basically loading the next level part in the cutscenes, and that makes the cutscene lag out. And keep in mind, I have this game on my M2. Like, I have a high-end M2 in my PC where I have all my games on to basically fight what is happening here in the cutscene sometimes, and it still happens. It's like, oh, come on, man. But now you might ask, okay, so what does that mean for me? Well, that means for you, wait for a sale. I will be honest, $50 for a 5-hour game, which is mediocre at best, is a bit too much in my opinion. So I highly recommend to wait for a sale. It is still, if you like the previous Shadow Warrior games and you like the story and you want to know what happens after Shadow Warrior 2, I highly recommend this game when it is a little bit cheaper. For everyone who has never played the other Shadow Warrior games, do that first, and then you can decide for yourself if you want to buy into the game after a sale or not. But again, keep in mind, it is done after 5 hours, and New Game Plus or returning to the game is not really... You can do that, but you will not really get anything out of it. Yep, which is really unfortunate. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you still have some questions or some thoughts yourself, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and you're on your way out, I would appreciate if you leave a like. If you're new to the channel, you want to see daily gaming news, reaction videos to big live events. By the way, there is the PlayStation event, which we will watch together on stream today. And also you want to see tips and tricks for new games, a lot of Lost Ark as of recent. I would appreciate if you might subscribe to the channel. If you ever want to catch me live, then you can find me from Monday to Friday, starting at 9 a.m. East Coast time, which is 2 p.m. UK time, and 3 p.m. Central European time at trovo.live/ChaosMole. And you will also find a link in the video description. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope I see you next time. More importantly, stay safe. Bye-bye.